Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's the Friday news dump. Let's cover everything we want to talk about before the weekend, and then we forget whatever happened this week, which isn't true because I do recall a lot of things when I'm posting all this stuff on Spotify. That's right, you can listen to this entire news show on Spotify. Even the old episodes, just they're all there, and I remember so many of the stories from those older episodes where I'm like, oh yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, like little time capsules.
Exactly. Little time capsules. Yeah. Let's go ahead and go to our headlines. Today on Before Coffee. The world is changing too fast for us. The organic farmers on urgency of French protests. And
a Friday's news dump. Biden's economy is extraordinarily strong. Trump's White House operated an illegal pharmacy, according to the Department of Defense, and WWE's Vince Young is kind of a scumbag.
LeBron James sets all-star record on anniversary of Laker icon Bryant's death.
And in sad news, we've lost Melanie, singer-songwriter.
Barbie Oscar snub. Were they sexist?
Those stories and more, which is Friday. January 26, 2024 on Before Coffee.
All right, our first news story here is about protests in France. France is taken by surprise by a scale and fear of grassroots demonstrations amid crisis in the organics sector. This is from Angelique Chrysophis in Rennes on The Guardian. Pierre Breton woke at 4 a.m. to feed the cows on his organic farm near the coastal town of Pornic in western France. Then did something he had never dared to do before. He made a cardboard protest banner about the nightmare of French bureaucracy and went to cheer on a go-slow convoy of tractors, warning that French farming and the rural way of life was facing collapse. Effigies of dead farmers dangled from nooses on tractor trailers. These are French people. They're very dramatic. They know how to protest. As the convoy drove into the center of Brittany, city of Rennes, beeping horns and waving banners. Quality has a price, read one. We're fed up and exasperated, said Britannia, 38. I love my job. I farm organically because it's what I believe in, and it's the right thing ethically and in terms of health. In the 9 years of farming, I've never been to a protest. I'd rather be with my animals. But things are getting so difficult. We need decent prices that reflect not just the quality of our produce, but the love we put into this job and into the countryside. This is passion, a vocation, but we don't get recognition for it. The French government has been taken by surprise by the scale of fury, grassroots farmer demonstrations that have spread from the southwest across the country this week. Bales of hay and tractors have been used to block main highways, manure has been sprayed on public buildings and supermarkets in the southwest, and crates of tomatoes, cabbage, and cauliflowers that the farmer said had been cheaply imported were dumped across the roads. Although protests follow other demonstrations by European farmers in countries including Germany and Romania, the French protest has a particular urgent and local political flavor. France, the EU's biggest agricultural producer, has thousands of independent producers of meat, dairy, fruit, and vegetables, and wine, who have a reputation for staging disruptive protests. For several months, angry farmers have been turning to the street signs upside down in villages across France in protest, while Marine Le Pen's far-right party traveled the country to court rural voters. But in Paris, Emmanuel Macron's appointment earlier this month as the new prime minister, Gabriel Attal, instead focused on issues such as law and order and introducing trials on school uniform. Now, the farming protests are Attal's first significant headache, only 5 months before the European Parliament election, where the far right in France could make gains, especially if you angry the farmers, it looks like. On Thursday, Bretton Fishers joined in. Another trade union workers could follow if social protest movement grows. After the Gilets Jaunes, Yellow Vest citizens protest movement of 2018 and 2019, the government is so sensitive that has directed riot police to act in moderation rather than dismantle roadblocks. The demonstrators have made many demands, including ensuring fair prices for produce, continuing diesel tax breaks for agricultural vehicles, and an end to extra French red tape layered on top of EU rules and immediate aid for struggling organic farmers. Polls show massive public support for farmers' protest, up to 90%. But farmers say the French consumer, struggling to make ends meet and bamboozled by supermarkets, do not always choose French produce in the shops. Yeah, unfortunately, we live in capitalism, and that's how it works. Also, organic farming is a scam. I'm sorry for all those people who believe in their rights to organically farm. It doesn't mean anything. The word has actually lost meaning over time. An organic farmer facing acute crisis in France, while sales dropping sharply, Britannia says it has taken an emotional toll. In human terms, it's a catastrophe, he says, of the loneliness and isolation that some farmers have faced. From a farming family, his own father died exhausted at 60, having been unable to adapt to the changing industry. Britannia earned only 600 to 700 euros a month, and sold much of its organic produce, beef, free-range chicken, and sunflower products, as conventional rather than organic produce because the market was so hard. People see organic food as too expensive, but organic farmers are not getting the big margins on shop prices, he says. Where are those profits going? Who is lining their pockets? I mean, I have a question for you. How much is it costing to run your farm? Are you getting a return on your money? Or are you just like, I expected to make double this? I really want to understand what the farmers are angry at, and if they're not just being spooled up by the far right who needs votes to be angry about something, because it happened here in the Netherlands as well. Hey, you should be angry about this. Why? So that you'll vote for me later. Okay. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not saying that there are cheaper food products out there that are definitely globally traded that are getting more money. But are the profits like gone? They have no profits? Because then maybe they need to change how they're farming. And they can't just blame the government or global economy for that. They have to look at themselves and say, wait a minute. Wait, I can't just sell a product and people will buy it? No. That's unfortunate. Even though it's food, which everyone needs.
They're mad at the system.
Yeah, you can't force people to buy your food just because it's food. Britannia's highest salary as a support worker for adults with disability kept him and the other 2 children afloat. But for him, farming was about being present in the countryside, keeping rural communities alive, says. The world is changing too fast for us. We don't know where we are. The farming union, Coordination Rurale, which organized protests in Rennes, and Thursday gave its demonstrators yellow hats, an echo of the Gilets jaunes. Natasha Guillemette, 50, from Vouvant in Vendée, says she farmed grass-fed Parthenized cattle for high-quality red-label beef sold in top Paris butcher shops. But at the end of the month, I lined up the bills on the mantelpiece and decided which ones to pay because I can't pay all of them, she says. I'm counting stamps on envelopes. I'm counting euros. We are not in dairy, but we milk some cows to provide some milk for our children. The prices paid by the intermediaries for our produce are too low, yet our costs are exploding. Diesel, insurance, consumers are getting charged a lot, but we're not seeing the differential. There's a lack of dignity. So it sounds like the economy is collapsing for farmers specifically, and they're not getting any support. Sometimes, she says, it feels like working in a feudal system. It's as if we get the crumbs. We're being taken for fools. Olivier Chemin, 54, an organic dairy farmer at Saint-Frambourg-de-Plis in Mayenne, says, this anger has been on a slow burn for years in France. There has been a distortion of competition, prices are low. I've been farming for 22 years. Organic dairy costs more to produce, yet prices are dropping. The demonstrations, yeah, it's because people are just putting labels on their food. I mean, we just talked about this, I think 2 weeks ago. Europe just passed a labeling law, or is trying to pass a labeling law. So before now, labels didn't mean anything. Organic, green, safe for the environment, all of these were just buzzwords so that they could sell product. They're marketing PR. They had nothing to do with the actual reality of the product. So yeah, it makes sense that people who are actually doing the organic stuff aren't being able to compete with the people who are just posting it on their, oh, this is organic, yeah, it's made out of carbon, you know? We're not lying.
It happened on Earth. Happened on Earth. Yeah.
Sorry?
I said it happened on Earth. It's organic.
Yeah. The demonstrations are about the future of French farming and rural life. It's about how we feed ourselves, the quality of our food. It's very seriously under threat from imports that don't respect European or French rules. If the government doesn't act, farming will collapse. Chemin says suicide rates are among smaller farmers, some of whom earn about $500 a month. He says small-scale French farms, who work more than 60 hours a week, spend hours each week filling out paperwork and dealing with red tape. Alexis, 28, a cabbage farmer from Finisterre in Brittany, says that he stays up late after dinner each night filling out forms. It's a question of survival. You need to be able to earn from your job. Mikhail, a fisher from Cocarnou, joined the protest to stand up for the world against the city. He says that in France, protesting is the only way to be heard by politicians. Sometimes you just have to burn and break things to be understood. So hopefully all of these poor farmers, well, I guess they actually are poor because they're not making ends meet, and like I said, there is a risk that this is just another populist movement so that somebody else can get votes and then do nothing for these people, unfortunately, because when there's people struggling, the far right has a tendency to use them as a reason to get more votes and not actually do anything for them. For example, in the Bay, which is the farmers' party here, I don't think it has done anything for farmers. It's not going to turn back the nitrogen laws that have been in place for 4 years already. So I'm not exactly sure what the point of it all was. Your story.
Get them excited. Get them excited about an issue like they do. Like the far right does in America.
Yeah.
Get you all excited. Oh, the border! At the border! And so Biden says, well, let's do something about it. And they said, no, we're not.
It's not doing anything for us, yeah.
Why would we do anything, get rid of that issue we're running on?
Exactly.
We're not going to, all right, they're not interested in solving the problem. They just need an issue. It's disgusting.
Yep.
And another thing the Republicans are running on is the economy, and they're going to lose on that because there's nothing to run on because the economy is great, at least in the United States. This is from NPR. Scott Horsley. The U.S. economy continues to defy expectation. And the nation's gross domestic product, the broadest measure of economic activity, grew at an annual pace of 3.3% in October, November, and December, according to a report Thursday from the Commerce Department. That was substantially faster than forecasters had expected. It was a fitting end to a year of robust economic growth, defying projections that rising interest rates would tip the economy into a recession. Here are 5 things to know about the economy. Consumers led the way. Consumer spending is the biggest driver of the U.S. economy, and Americans kept their foot on the gas, eating out in restaurants, buying sporting goods, and paying for travel. Personal spending grew at an annual pace of 1.9% in the fourth quarter, only a modest slowdown from 3 months before. That was fueled by better-than-expected labor market with solid job growth and rising wages. Consumers are hanging tough, said Mark Zandi, chief economics of Moody Analytics. They're spending just enough to keep the economy moving forward, not so much that it would fan inflationary pressures. Let's all give ourselves a pat on the back.
We did it.
Other parts of the economy are also holding up well. It says firing all cylinders. Government spending, business investment, and exports all rose in the fourth quarter. Even the housing sector, which has been battered by mortgage rates that neared 8% in October, was not that drag on economy that one would typically expect. Housing, usually in a high-rate environment, gets crushed. It's a thing that drives the economy into the ground, and that just didn't happen this time around, said Sandy. Instead, new home construction helped make the small positive contributions to the GDP. A head-scratcher on interest rates. All the positive news was particularly striking given how much the Fed has raised interest rates in an effort to curb inflation. That's probably because the inflation was not caused by spending to begin with. Folks, they were giving you the wrong cure because they diagnosed the problem wrong. Economists feared that the central bank's aggressive action would trigger an economic downturn, as has usually been the case in the past. Instead, the economy ended last year 3.1% larger than it was 12 months earlier, raising hopes for a soft landing, which the inflation is tamed without a sharp drop in employment. Inflation is easing. Yep. Even though the economy is growing at a rapid clip, it shows no signs of overheating. price indices in the GDP report show inflation continued to ease, with the core prices rising at an annual rate of just 2% over the last 6 months, which is the Fed's target. That should be reassuring to the Fed, which is widely expected to begin cutting interest rates later this year. Despite the stronger than average GDP growth rate in the fourth quarter, we view today's data as Fed friendly, said Chief Economist Jay Bryson and Wells Fargo Economics. There are potential setbacks, and encouraging GDP report is always potential storm clouds on the horizon. Zandy puts geopolitical risk at the top of the list, with the possibility that the Middle East tensions trigger a spike in oil prices. That would be a mess. Right now, we're paying close to $3 a gallon for unleaded gasoline, which is really good. But if we're at $3.50 or $4, that undermines confidence. It undermines purchasing power. So the economy continues to outperform as a election year gets started, and we look at Biden's successful presidency, and we look back at Trump's disaster of a presidency as we look at a DOD report. This is from the Washington Post, but they're quoting a DOD report. I looked it up. It's an 80-page report. You'll read it later. 80-page Inspector General report, and those people won't fuck around. It's hard to imagine the president's in-house health clinic as a rogue operation. That's the picture a Pentagon probe points out about the facility during the Trump administration. The findings are clear and damaging. We found that the White House Medical Unit provided a wide range of healthcare and pharmaceutical services to the ineligible White House staff in violation of federal law and regulation and DOD policies. The report, and from the Defense Department's Inspector General, additionally, White House Medical Unit dispensed prescription medications, including controlled substances, to ineligible White House staff. Many of those served by the unit should not have been. The report paints a scathing picture of the military-run facility with 60 medical personnel who were tasked with treating the president, the vice president, and the White House staff. That's it. It also provides new context to systematic problems in the clinic that made headlines when Rep. Ronnie Jackson of Texas, who was Donald Trump's personal doctor until 2018, was accused by almost 24 colleagues of improper activities, including providing prescription drugs without proper paperwork, a habit that allegedly earned him the nickname Candyman. A 2021 Defense Department Inspector General report later corroborated some of those claims, which Jackson denied and described as politically motivated. No, Ronnie Jackson was not only a horrible doctor, he is an actual U.S. representative from Texas. It was no surprise. You just put an R in front of your name in Texas and you win because, I don't know, they've all checked out. They've all checked out from logic. Logic doesn't exist for those folks. They just decided, let's put a drunk doctor in charge. Jackson's office said he had no associated involvement with the White House Medical Unit's clinical delivery of care. Oh, really? But you're in charge. No involvement. The new report includes pharmaceutical procedures from 2017 to 2019 and patient eligibility practices from 18 to 20. Neither the pharmacy nor the clinical operations were credentialed by an outside agency. During those periods, the unit served between 9 and 30 patients per week. However, the inspectors wrote, we discovered that an average of 6 to 20 of these patients per week were not eligible for the care. Basically, just giving drugs to morons. Of the numerous problems with the medical unit, one of the most disturbing is its cavalier approach towards narcotics, particularly when a nation is suffering from a devastating opioid addiction crisis. All phases of the White House Medical Unit's pharmacy operations had severe and systematic problems. The inspectors found it stocked 4 opiate pain medications, fentanyl, hydrocodone, as we call it, or Oxycontin, and morphine.
Hey.
But the pharmacy protocols were so poor that they increased the risk for the diversion of controlled substances to illicit use. For example, controlled medications, including sleeping pill Ambien, and the stimulant Robigil were dispensed without verifying the patient's identity. A witness told an investigator Dr. Axton asked if I could hook this person up with some Robigil as a parting gift for leaving the White House. In the unit, it was authorized for us to do that kind of stuff. Notably, the military health system's senior leaders did not oversee the White House medical unit's pharmacy operations, according to the inspectors. Shoddy administration, heightened dangers for prescribing errors, and inadequate medication management, increasing the risk to the health and safety of patients treated within the unit. White House medical officials argued to inspectors that the clinic doesn't have to have a true pharmacy because of its size and a lack of full-time pharmacists. But despite a smaller number of pharmaceutical tasks, the report said those tasks entail the full universe of pharmaceutical operation. Even clandestine surgery was available. Even clandestine surgery was available. I'll repeat that.
What kind of surgery? What the? What?
I have no idea. I imagine abortions, I would say.
Okay.
Aliases were used to provide free specialty care and surgery to ineligible White House staff members at military medical treatment facilities. Oh yeah, somebody got pregnant and couldn't tell nobody, so they went to Dr. Jackson. He hooked them up. Here you go. Here's that abortion pill. House employees received free elective surgery that the unit altered practices to cater to high-ranking officials. One staffer said, "We bent the rules to meet this very weird, strange culture that was there, and I think it was really just to impress me." Of course, I just want to refresh everybody's memory to last year, or was it the year before, the big controversy, right? It's probably on Fox News for 6 months that they found cocaine in the White House. It was a big deal. Meanwhile, as they say, every accusation is a confession. The White House referred questions about the report to the Pentagon. The Trump presidential campaign, people affiliated with the Trump administration Defense Department, did not respond to requests for comment. I guess you got to ask them, right? But you know they're just going to lie anyway. I don't know you can talk to liars. The Pentagon accepted all the Inspector General's recommendation to approve the White House medical unit operations, including developing procedures to better manage medication and patient liability. When asked about possible crimes related to the findings, the Pentagon spokesman responded like an FBI official, saying, "We do not confirm or deny criminal investigations." The investigation began in 2018 following complaints about improper medical practices by an unnamed senior military officer that led to interviews of more than 120 officials and a review of more than 200 documents. Finally, almost 6 years later, the report is released this month after a draft report was under review by the White House military office from 2020 to 2023 during the Trump and Biden administrations, said Deputy General Michael J. O'Rourke's memorandum accompanying the report. Reacting to reports disturbing findings, Senator Jack Reed, Democrat of Rhode Island, chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, said, "I'm concerned by the lapse in procedure within the military's White House medical unit, and I concur with the OIG's recommendations to prevent this from happening again." Senior leaders directed eligibility practice did not comply with DoD guidance, the report said. Multiple former White House medical unit medical providers stated that they requested an early departure from the unit due to the unit's practices. The leadership was absent without leave. Medical unit leaders who are not named in the report were there, but they were part of the problem, causing more diligent employees to flee. Sounds like a horror show for honest people. And as you noticed at the beginning of the Trump administration, honest people started leaving in droves. So what did that do? It just let the dishonest people get away with more. All right, back to you.
All right. Lots of news dump indeed. We're going on to our next story, which is about LeBron James. This is a really short story, considering your double feature there. This is from NL Sports. LeBron James has been selected for the 20th time to participate in the All-Stars game in the American Basketball League, or NBA. The 39-year-old American from Los Angeles Lakers is thus set a record, James passes his compatriot Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who has 19 participations, and a other well-known star, Michael Jordan, who has 14. The All-Star Game is a competition between the best players of the season. The selection is put together by fans, players, coaches, and the media. James was told of his election on the anniversary of the death of the Lakers icon Kobe Bryant. He died 4 years ago at the age of 41 in a helicopter crash near Los Angeles. Bryant participated in the All-Star Game 18 times. So, there's a little tweet here from the Lakers. 4 years ago, we lost 9 lives in a tragedy. Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, John Altobelli, Carrie Altobelli, Alyssa Altobelli, Christina Mauser, Sarah Chester Peyton, and Sarah Chester, Peyton Chester, Era Zaboyan. May they forever rest in peace. They didn't put any commas, so I couldn't tell when their names began and ended. But rest in peace, all the tragic helicopters. Be careful with helicopters, guys, because they're not as safe as you might think. James took part in the competition for the first time in 2005 and has not missed a single time since. And it's a special achievement because few players in the major sports in the United States are selected as often for the All-Stars or equivalent. Only NHL ice hockey player Gordie Howe 23 times and baseball player Hank Aaron 21, Willie Mays at 20 times, and Stan Musial at 20 have gone more than LeBron James has for the NBA. This year's All-Star Game is on February 18th, 2 days before my birthday in Indianapolis. So I guess check that out if you want to watch LeBron break a record at being in the most NBA All-Star games ever. And
his most important accomplishment is the Ruffles.
I'll be honest, I've only watched NBA games, all NBA All-Star games. That's the only thing I've ever watched, and they're very fun. And that's why they're great. And they do the free throw competition, and they have kids go on the field and do it, and so that's really fun. It's more like a festival than anything else, celebrating basketball. And as somebody who doesn't like sports, that's fun. So check it out. Congratulations, LeBron, for still being an all-star. And your story.
Well, LeBron James' most important accomplishment.
Oh, right, yes. And he got another bag.
Oh, I got 2 bags. Believe me, the other one is almost gone.
We're pro LeBron here on Before Coffee.
Oh, we're pro these chips for sure. If LeBron, dude, don't ever drop endorsing these things because Ruffles might stop making them. In fact, just have them at every press conference. Just have it bags.
Just on the side.
Serious, those are some good chips. I mean, those are the best chips I had last year were the French ones that tasted like baked chicken skin. Those are good. Those are really good. And I probably couldn't eat them every day. Okay, and I guess sports news adjacent. WWE's Vince McMahon accused of sex trafficking. That's right. Vince McMahon, a probably billionaire by now, WWE founder, had a anti-disclosure agreement with a former employee, but didn't pay the money. So the disclosure agreement was null and void, and so the person who was part of that is suing it. A former employee of WWE sued former Vince McMahon, alleging he abused and sexually exploited her when he was CEO of Wrestling Entertainment Company, and that McMahon allegedly trafficked her to other men as a pawn to secure other talents. The prospective wrestler the company was recruiting. The former WWE employee, Janelle Grant, filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court of the District of Connecticut Thursday, naming McMahon, WWE, and former head of talent relations, John Laurinaitis, as defendants. The lawsuit alleges McMahon, Laurinaitis, and WWE violated the Trafficking Victims Prevention Act, which includes claims of civil liberty and intentional infliction of emotional distress in relation to years-long sexual and emotional abuse of Grant. She said she endured as an employee of the WWE. The lawsuit seeks an unspecified monetary damage as well as a declaratory judgment that a non-disclosure agreement Grant signed while she was a WWE employee is void and unenforceable, does not bar any plaintiff's claims against defendants McMahon and the WWE complaint said. A spokesman, reps for the WWE and McMahon did not immediately respond to requests for comment. A spokesman for TKO Group Holdings, the parent company, WWE and UFC said in the statement, Mr. McMahon does not control TKO, nor does he oversee the day-to-day operations of WWE. While this matter predates our TKO executive team's tenure at the company, we take Mrs. Grant's horrific allegations very seriously, and we are addressing this matter internally. The lawsuit was filed 2 days after TKO inked a 10-year deal with Netflix for WWE's Monday Night Raw, valued at $500 million per year, a significant step up in fees for the franchise. I'm not a big wrestling fan. I know lots of people are. Never understood it. I'd rather watch real sports instead of fake, people yelling at each other. It's kind of my dad's opinion of these wrestlers. It was just a bunch of big mouths. They won't shut up, just talking and talking and talking, and nothing really happening.
Yeah.
It's fake. So not a big wrestling guy myself. I just think like I said, I'd rather watch real. I'd rather watch anything any sport, as long as it's honest, not this acting steroid fit. Okay, anyway, enough with the fake entertainment. Let's go to a real person with real entertainment. We have lost Melanie.
Fake entertainment.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, it's not real sport.
You could argue it's fake sports, but it does require a lot of muscle to do it.
Okay, well, on to originality. Melanie singer-songwriter who topped the charts with Brand New Key, which was a nice song, but not her greatest song, has died at 76. Melanie Safka, the American singer-songwriter known as Melanie, had a global hit with Brand New Key, has died at the age of 76. Her children, Leila, Jordy, and Bo Jared, announced her death on social media, describing her as one of the most talented, strong, and passionate women of her era. And every word she wrote, every note she sang reflected that. No cause of death has been given. Born and raised in Queens, New York, Melanie broke through in the late 1960s after a grounding in the folk clubs of New York's Greenwich Village. Chiming with the boom in singer-songwriters, her bright but husky voice appealed to pop fans in the counterculture alike, and she was signed to the Buddha label, which released her debut album, Born to Be, in 1968. She first found success in Europe, with the album going top 10 in France and the Netherlands. Along with Janis Joplin, Joan Baez, she was one of only 3 solo women to appear at the Woodstock Festival in 1969. An unbelievably frightening day, she later said. I never even felt like I was a hippie. I didn't even like the term. If anything, I was the beat generation. People in the village expressing themselves in so many ways, not being pigeonholed. Janis Joplin, Janis Joplin's a solo act. She did have a band. All right. Joan Baez sat there with a guitar alone, and Melanie sat there with a guitar alone. Now, those are solo acts, at Woodstock, right? And she was a virtually unknown. What Melanie was. Joan Baez was a superstar. Melanie was virtually unknown at Woodstock. Afterwards, not so much. She showed off her vocal range with the gospel-tinged single "Lay Down, Candles in the Rain." That's the video I gave you. A U.S. top 10 hit. It was inspired by the sight of the Woodstock crowd lighting candles, and the accompanying 1970 album "Candles in the Rain" brought her to wider attention, reaching number 5 in the UK. Her version of the Rolling Stones' "Ruby Tuesday" was also a UK hit that year, and a concert at New York's Carnegie Hall was recorded for a successful live album. But 1971 would be her biggest year yet, with the album "Gather Me" and its lead single "Brand New Key," with its blithe and jaunty rhythm, twinkling backing, and Melanie's mellifluous nursery rhyme melodies. It had a huge cross-generational appeal, although its lyrics about roller skating seemed to be a metaphor for sexual experimentation. I guess a key and a lock have always been a Freudian symbol, she said, and pretty obvious ones at that.
In the Netherlands, 100%.
What's that?
In the Netherlands, key and a lock is the sexual euphemism you use.
Oh, yeah. That's probably she was big in the Netherlands. There was no deep, serious expression behind the song, but people read things into it. It reached #1 in the US, Canada, and Australia, and reached UK #5. A cover version with different agriculturally focused lyrics by the comedy group The Wursels. The Combine Harvester reached #1 in the UK in 1976. Really? I never heard that. I got to hear that now. The Brand New Key would be her last major hit, although she returned to the UK top 40 with her take on the 60s pop standard Will You Love Me Tomorrow in 1973. Melanie continued to release steady stream of albums, eventually totaling 28, with the most recent, Ever Since You Never Heard of Me, in 2010. She developed a cult following, including notable musicians such as Morrissey, covered her Gather Me song, some say, and Jarvis Cocker, who introduced her on stage in London in 2007. In 1968, she married Peter Schererkrajek, hard to pronounce name, who was also a producer of all of her major releases. They had 3 children together, and the marriage lasted until his death in 2010. Of course, famously, you can also find her song, Look What They've Done to My Song, Ma, which is a great song. She does a duet with Miley Cyrus. That's a pretty good duet. So, of course, I followed her on, and here's another story from a local. She was from Jersey, so Jersey Shore had to chime in. This is a pretty good article. 2-minute read. Won't take too long. Melanie, the Jersey Shore native whose performance at Woodstock made her a star, passed away Tuesday, January 23rd. Her family announced Wednesday on the 24th on social media. She was 76. Her hits included Brand New Key, What Have They Done to My Song, Ma, Beautiful People, which he sang at Woodstock, Lay Down, Candles in the Rain, which is about Woodstock. But she was largely an unknown when she played at Woodstock in the summer of 1969. Her mom drove her up to the fest from her home in Elberon section of Long Branch. It was just me and my mother's, said Melanie, a.k.a. Melanie Safka Shekarike, to the U.S. Day Today Network, New Jersey, in 2018. I didn't have a band. I didn't have a roadie. I didn't have Peter, my husband, manager, who was my producer. I was a relatively unknown, especially American. Melanie's Beautiful People was generating a bit of underground buzz at the time. Some people came up to me and said, Melanie, we're going up to the helicopter. Melanie said. So my mother and me and my guitar start running towards the helicopter. My guitar wasn't even in a case. It was just slung over my back. We get in the helicopter door and the guy in charge says, who's she? And I said, it's my mother. He goes, no, Mom. Sorry, Mom. Bye, Mom. It was just me and I got into the helicopter. It was just me and I got into the helicopter. Melanie went on a few hours later at 11 p.m. Her set included Beautiful People. She also did a version of Mr. Tambourine Man. People really connected quickly with me, and it instantly resonated with 500,000 people at that one moment. I walked on stage an unknown and walked off a celebrity. Melanie, who attended Long Branch and Red Bank high schools, lived in Tennessee and had long taken a hiatus from the Jersey Shore music scene after several decades. She became a more regular presence in the area after being inducted into Red Bank Regional High School's Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame in 2015. Jersey Shore singer Karen Mansfield posted a cover version of Melanie's Lay Down, Candles in the Rain, with Ashbury Park Love Contingent during the COVID lockdown. It wasn't up a day or two before I received a message from Melanie herself through Facebook Messenger complimenting me on our rendition of her song. That was just epic. Mansfield, as a child, accompanied her uncle, an electrician, when he did contractor work on Melanie's home in Lincroft. There were lots of female artists to inspire me. There's only one Melanie, Mansfield said. Her being from around these parts and being exactly who she was, an independent artist through and through. Her whole vibe, that's more than a major inspiration. Melanie's children, Layla, Jordy, Bo Jared, said that information about the celebration of life would be forthcoming on Wednesday post announcing her passing. She was one of the most talented, strong, and passionate women of the era, and every word she wrote, every note she sang reflected that. Said Melanie's children, our world is much dimmer colors of a dreary, rainy Hennessy pale with her absence today, but we know that she is still here, smiling down on all of us and all of you from the stars. So, again, I would describe Melanie's voice as sweet, but that could probably, I would say, shatter rocks. Because she could really belt it out.
Shatter rocks.
Anyway, seriously, she could really, I mean, just watch any of her videos. She really raised it, right? She would just start out calm and she could just... Anyway. We lost Melanie. It's a sad day. It sucks. Back to you.
Okay. Rest in peace, Melanie. It's really weird because my sister's name is Melanie, so I kept on thinking you were talking about her.
Yeah.
What the hell? I didn't know she did all this stuff. Anyways.
Well, she kind of reminds me of Melanie thinking about it. Anyway.
And they both are. Maybe that's just the name makes the person, huh? Barbie snub. Let's talk about the, I guess, current biggest snub in history here. And David Morquand is going to talk about whether it's sexist, and I'm going to either agree or disagree with him here on Euronews Culture. The internet is ablaze with vitriol for the Academy not nominating Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig for Best Actress and Best Director for Barbie. One recurring argument is that the motivation behind the omission is sexist. Euronews Culture debunks. Because enough is Ken-nuff. Ha ha ha, because Ken. The Oscar nominations were announced this week, with the critically acclaimed billion-dollar sensation Barbie scoring a total of 8 nods, including Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Ryan Gosling, Best Supporting Actress for America Ferrera. One of the biggest talking points, however, were Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie being snubbed for the Best Director and Best Actress, respectively. Yeah, it's kind of weird to get Best Picture and not everyone in the picture who is supposedly nominated for Best Picture to be also nominated. Fans wasted no time in taking to social media to share their disbelief at the end anger. The meltdown mode was galvanized by Barbie stars Gosling and Ferrera, who did not hold back. In a statement, Gosling said that no recognition would be possible for anyone on the film without their, Robbie's and Gerwig's talent, grit, and genius. To say I'm disappointed that they are not nominated in their respective categories would be an understatement. As for Ferrera, she succinctly told Variety, "I was incredibly disappointed that they weren't nominated." For many, snubbing Gerwig and Robbie reveals that the Academy didn't understand the film at all, highlighting the irony of nominating Ken rather than Barbie, and stressing that the film's message about the difficulties of women to be recognized for their contributions to a misogynistic society fell on deaf ears. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm pretty sure 90% of the Academy is a white men, so, and that, maybe 60. Maybe they've increased it a little, or decreased it a little. It's still easy for Hollywood to overlook and discount artistic contributions of women, even when it's the point of the year's biggest movie, lamented political strategist Jennifer Palmieri, who served as Director of Communications in Obama's White House. Speaking of which, then came Hillary Clinton, whose tweet praising Robbie and Gerwig was roundly mocked online. Clinton wrote, "Greta and Margot, while it can sting to win the box office but not take home the gold, your millions of fans love you. You're both so much more than enough. Hillary Barbie." Q comments on how Clinton's message was cringy and that she should be tried at The Hague, and the whole message had the stink of a loser all over it. I mean, to be fair, who's on Twitter but Trump MAGA idiots? Like, is anybody else on Twitter? The only other people I know who are still on Twitter are ARMY, like BTS fans, and that's it. The rest is just a bunch of people who haven't realized that Twitter is just not the place anymore. It's like the whole world is inspired to make me hate a movie that I saw and enjoyed, one Twitter user said. Thankfully, there was also some lighthearted support, with the Australian police announcing on Facebook that they'd be investigating after Robbie, who was originally from Queensland, was robbed at the Oscars. Granted, because Gerwig and Robbie have been nominated for Best Director and Best Actress at the majority of award ceremonies prior to Oscars, including the Golden Globes, many assumed that the Oscar nominations would be a done deal. When the foregone conclusion never materializes, it can be galling. However, does this make their snub sexist, like many have decided? Let's get one thing out of the way. Barbie is a good film. It was the greatest film of 2023, but it wasn't. Okay, this is according to Euronews, not me. This is his opinion. This is David's opinion. It was not the best film of 2023. Nor was it Gerwig's best film. That honor goes to Little Women. I have seen Little Women, and that was a pretty good film. But here are Euronews Culture's list of the best movies of 2023, and against all odds, it was not a lazy mashup of Enchanted and the Lego Movie that it seemed initially. And what could have been a committee-commissioned corporate trap to sell toys under the guise of self-awareness was actually far weirder than anyone could have expected. As such, hats off to Gerwig, who took a figure that remains a weak vessel for empowerment, and even less of a feminist icon, subverted assumptions, and managed to lovingly craft an entertaining blockbuster that used a problematic figure to say something, at times in a clunky but fun way, about gender roles in today's society. Yet again, this is David's opinion, not mine. Barbie's rollicking success, both critically and at the box office, was deserved and can't be taken away, nor can its undeniable cultural impact, which will be remembered, snubs or not. That said, Barbie's 2 Oscar snubs are not sexist, says a man named David. To unpack that statement, let's start with the word snub. It was not snubbed. The movie landed 8 nominations, including the coveted Best Film, meaning that Robbie, as a producer, did get a nomination. It stands as the 4th most nominated film behind Oppenheimer, 13, Poor Things, 11, and Killers of the Flower Moon at 10. Honestly, I think Killers of the Flower Moon's actress should win. Lily Gladstone should win Best Actress. So that's my opinion, and it's biased. Not Knopf, try this. Despite her directing snub, Gerwig became the first woman to have directed 3 Best Picture nominated films, Lady Bird, Little Women, and Barbie. Maybe focus on that impressive achievement. Now comes the sexist part. It is very easy to call out the Academy, which has faced much merited criticism in the recent years over issues related to diversity, and there is empirical evidence that shows women continue to be overlooked. For example, a 2020 study by Emerson College, written by Kenneth Grout and Owen Again, titled Oscar is a Man: Sexism in the Academy Awards, found that the winners of the Best Picture category are nearly twice as likely to feature male lead actors. There's a lot of ground to cover and make up for, and the patriarchal status quo is still very much a thing. However, it's plain to see that the 2024 nominations are showing slow progress. For instance, this year marks the first time 3 films nominated for Best Picture were directed by women: Autonomy at a Fall, Justine Triet, Past Lives, Celine Song, and Barbie. Baby steps on NyQuil, granted, but it's the first time it has happened. Other positive signs include the diverse nature of the nominees in general. For instance, Killers of the Flower Moon star Gladstone made history as the first Indigenous woman to be nominated for Best Actress, and Rustin actor Coleman Domingo is the first Afro-Latino to be nominated for Best Actor, and the first openly gay nominee in the category since Ian McKellen for Gods and Monsters 5 years ago. Yes, the Academy needs to understand that more than just one female filmmaker can be recognized at a time, and it remains frustrating that only one, Justine Triet, made cut this year. But out of the other 4 nominees, can you argue against Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things, Jonathan Glazer, The Zone of Interest, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, and Martin Scorsese's Killer of the Flower Moon getting picked? No. The direction deserved it, and maybe Academy voters just decided that Gerwig's paled in comparison, which is fair. There's also other directionally snubbed female filmmakers who are arguably deserve the look in more than Gerwig in terms of craft. Take Celine Song, Past Lives, A.V. Rockwell, 1001, not a single nomination for that film. Sofia Coppola for Priscilla, not a single nomination. Nida Manzoor, Polite Society, also no nominations. And Raven Jackson, All Dirt Road, Taste of Salt. And Emma Selgerman, Bottoms. Bottoms, I hear, was a really great film. I might force you to watch it to see how you'll react to it, because it's a very Gen Z film and it's funny to see you react to it. I'm almost gleeful with laughter. Anyways, this doesn't say that Gerwig didn't direct the absolute plastic out of Barbie. It just means she's not the only female filmmaker out there who deserved the Best Director slot. And just because her film was the highest grossing film in 2023 at $1.44 billion worldwide doesn't mean she's automatically owed a nod. Same goes for Robbie, as there was a lot of great performances this year. Hers was one of them, but when you look at the shortlisted actress, it's hard to argue that she was outshone. Maybe when it comes down to Emma Stone's Poor Things, Sandra Hüller's Anatomy of the Fall, or Lily Gladstone's Killer of the Flower Moon, Carey Mulligan Maestro and Annette Bening Nyad all gave stronger performances. I can guarantee you, okay, this is me talking, not David. I can guarantee you that Gladstone will have to win Best Actress, because if she doesn't, there won't be another Native American nomination for 20 more years. So they're gonna give it to her because then they'll be like, we did it. We gave the first Native American actress to get nominated an Oscar. We're so great. I feel great about myself, and that's what's gonna happen. If that doesn't happen,
give them back their land.
Yeah, anyway. That would be nice too. Maybe she can sell the Oscar to buy the land back since it was illegally taken in terrible treaties. Anyways, let's not get into the politics of why everyone needs to leave the United States.
No, give it back to the beavers for that matter.
And to establish a director-actress 2024 Mission Parallel, Celine Song and her star Greta Lee are not in the running for Best Director or Best Actress despite past lives like Barbie landing a Best Picture nod. Where are the indignant posts on Twitter with the appropriate outrage hashtag? Probably because Greta Lee is Asian, so she's not a nice white Australian lady. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. These white women didn't get their Oscar. What about all the women of color who've made great films? Who? I've never heard of these guys. Yeah, of course you haven't.
Of course you
Anyways, when it comes down to it, Barbie not getting Best Director or Best Actress nod is not sexism. It may superficially look like it, but it's just that the film didn't make the cut. Simple as that. Wait, Ryan Gosling got nominated for his role as Ken, but Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for Barbie, and Greta got snubbed for Best Director. Way to justify the literal plot of the movie, the Academy, wrote one Twitter user. Yes, the parallel is amusing, but it doesn't mean the Academy voters didn't get it. They just chose differently. And while disappointment is understandable, feeling this outrage takes attention away from other deserving nominees and their significant accomplishment. Also has the side effect of seeming like a lot of die-hard Barbie fans feels entitled for what is a low-budget indie that deserves more bums in seats, but a massive production bankrolled by Warner Bros. And Mattel, one of the largest toy companies in the world. Pick your battles. So, he's just really repeating a bunch of rage bait on Twitter that people have said, and going in more and more about like, guys, calm down. I haven't watched Barbie, I know, arrest me, put me in prison. I haven't watched a lot of movies this year. I might watch Barbie, but the thing is, Barbie wasn't really made for me. Barbie is supposed to be sort of like a, hey men, isn't it weird that this happens in society? It's like, I'm very aware of what happens in society. I'm a woman living in society. So the stuff that happens into Barbie in the film isn't a surprise to me, and honestly it just makes me feel bad. It does not make me feel happy. So that's kind of why I guess I don't care about watching the film, because I think somebody else needs to watch it, not me. I'm not learning any lessons from it. I'm not getting some sort of catharsis from it, personally. I do want to watch, I do need to watch, I literally forgot the name of the film just now. Killers of the Flower Moon. I need to watch that. Oh, yeah. It's has a cultural significance to me, I think, so I need to watch that for sure. I wanted to watch it with a friend, but they never came back to me, so I guess I'll just stop waiting and watch it myself. So good luck on all those nominations at the Oscars. If Lily, like I said, if Lily Gladstone doesn't win, it's going to be another 20 years before another Native American gets nominated for anything, so she better win. And I guess check it out on March 10th if you care. I honestly don't care about any award shows at this point because I think they're all a scam. And
again, they make their own publicity. So
yeah.
Also, the Oscars don't care. They don't care about bad publicity, as the Hollywood maxim is.
Now everyone's going to want to watch it because Barbie got snubbed. Yeah. They win. Woohoo, we did it, you know? Let's snub Barbie so that people will talk about it on Twitter and then people will watch the show. Or not watch the show. I don't fucking know. But the problem with art, it's subjective. The Oscars are not any indicator of some sort of scientific process of determining what film was the best in 2023. So, yeah. And it's also hosted by Jimmy Kimmel, and I think he's really annoying, and I don't like him, and I don't think he's funny. So I guess another reason I won't be watching. I don't think Jimmy Kimmel... I think, yeah. I don't like his... Whatever his thing is, I don't like it. It just annoys me and makes me want to turn off the TV. So, anyways, check it out. Or don't check it out.
There we go.
On to this day in history.
That was a long... Okay. This day in history. Michigan became the 26th state on this day in 1837. 1880, Douglas MacArthur, the U.S. General who commanded the Southwest Pacific Theater in World War II and was head of the U.S. contingent during the Korean War. He was born this day in 1880. 1885 is British General Charles George Gordon and other defenders of Khartoum were killed by Mahdists. There you go.
Yeah, who?
No information in that. Just the guy's name, a group of people I've never heard of in Khartoum. I know what that is. That's in Sudan. 1925, American actor Paul Newman was born. Famously an actor, also a big charity that's still going, where all the you buy Paul Newman brand stuff and it all goes to charity. 1942, the first U.S. expeditionary force to land in Europe during World War II reached Ireland. In 1950, India became a republic, achieving full independence from Great Britain. Famous, I guess they're changing their name to something, which we'll probably never use. I'm not sure, but they'll use it in India.
They'll use it. Don't worry.
We'll have a good time not using it everywhere else. Stop calling us that name. And sorry, that's what we've been calling you. What do you want us to do? 1958, American comedian and television host Ellen DeGeneres, who was known for his quirky observational humor, was born. In 1962, Lucky Luciano, some criminal, was died at the age of 65. Criminal, not worth remembering. 1988, Andrew Lloyd Webber is a Phantom of the Opera musical version of Gaston Leroux's melodramatic novel, opened in New York City and went on to become the longest running show in Broadway history. 2001, a massive earthquake struck near Bhuj, Gujarat, India, killing more than 20,000 people and causing extensive damage. In 2020, American basketball player, well, you covered this earlier, Kobe Bryant, died in a helicopter crash, along with some others.
A lot of people.
At the age of 41. Yeah. His
Too many
daughter
people.
And the pilot and several passengers that they don't list on this manifest here.
Well, we already said them earlier on the tweet I did.
Commemorating that on this day. And of course, famously, the cops arrived on the scene. Took a bunch of pictures and put them on the internet, because that's just cops' jobs to do, right? Take pictures and put them on the internet, right? Because, yeah, serve, protect, and to horrify people. January 26th, 1798 featured event. First European settlement in Australia. And this day in 1788, Arthur Phillip, who had sailed into what is now Sydney Cove with a shipload of convicts, hoisted the British flag and established the first permanent European settlement on the continent of Australia. A settlement, basically a penal colony. And Wayne Gretzky featured biography. Famous hockey player, Canadian hockey player, born January 26, 1961. It's his birthday. He turned 62.
Wow.
Also featured biographies today. Nicolae Ceausescu, president of Romania, was famously deposed and executed by a mob. Angela Davis, American activist, was born this day. And those are all the famous birthdays they list. There's probably a lot more, but they don't care, so they're not listening out. It is also National Peanut Brittle Day.
Peanut brittle, hell yeah.
Yeah, got stuck to your teeth. Never have a normal conversation for the rest of the day. National Spouses Day. So if you're married, you have one of those. National Fun at Work Day. One of the most oxymoronish statements in the history of the world.
Yeah.
National
Fired Day is more like it. Hey, why are you having fun? You're fired.
Fun at work is, here's how I define fun at work. Leaving. That's fun. Getting the hell out of there. Where people don't monitor your every damn thing that you do. It's called freedom. Get the hell away from it. Fun at work. You know, bosses came up with that shit, right? Fun at work. National Big Wig Day. And this got a picture of, looks like a big old collie or a golden, no, what are them white dogs called? White lab with a wig on. A pink, orange, pink.
Golden retriever? I don't know.
No, it's not a golden retriever. It's a white dog. National Green Juice Day also, and that's it.
I
It's
love
National
green juice. That's my favorite juice.
It's got pictures of apples and celery and broccoli.
And spinach. Don't forget the spinach.
Spinach. Yeah, don't forget that, Popeye. It's National Green Juice Day. That's it. That's all the days it is today for January 26th. We dragged it out way too long. January 26th, 2024 on Before Coffee. Have a nice week.
All right. This has been Allison. The sun is out. It's supposedly very warm in the US and cold in other places, and it's also cold here. I hope you have a safe weekend, and I don't know, go protest some farmers, support your local farmers, and
listen to some Melanie music.
Yeah, listen to some Melanie music, and we'll see you on Monday next week. Here is your mic drop moment.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.